Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG beta tester. It's finally happened. PMDG have released the 777-300ER in Flight Simulator 2024. Together with the release of the 300ER, we've also gotten updates for the 200ER and the Freighter, bringing them up to version 113, or 2.04.113 for those of you who want to be exact. The new updates include quite a bit of stuff, but let's go ahead and start with the most important one, which is unfortunately only for Flight Simulator 2024 customers. PMDG have finally talked to the Human Resources Department and hired a first officer who actually is not afraid of sitting inside our flight deck. And for me personally, this is the largest update in the current update cycle, because having the first officer here just makes the flight deck look that much more lively and makes it look that much better. Now, if you are a fan of flying from the right hand seat, you don't need to worry though. If you move your camera into the FO seat, you can see that he or she is just going to vanish, and that you can still fly the airplane from the right hand seat as you would normally do. But a little tip over here, because there is something you can do to make it even more lively. Just go to the camera menu here, then choose pilot and co-pilot. That brings you over here, while at the same time also spawning a captain on the left hand seat. So that way you always have a pilot available inside your flight deck. I just really like this, because it makes the flight deck look that much more believable, that much more realistic. And as you can see, when you choose that first officer view, you don't get the first officer model back, even if you do leave the seat. So that is absolutely something that I do appreciate. On top of that, of course, we finally have our long and beloved 777 available in the new sim, which opens up a whole bunch of routes, and you can be sure that you will see a couple of flights using this model on this channel very soon. Now, apart from that, let's have a quick look into the actual change list, because there are a couple more items in there that might be really interesting to have a look at. So let's open up the Operations Center. As always, you can update the aircraft by just going into your product list, and then you will see wherever there is an out-of-date aircraft, you can just hit one button and it's going to update all of them. Pretty nice. Now, having a look into the changelog, that you can get right into the operations, and you can see that fixes are spread right across the fleet. So, for example, down here, the con switch has been added for the Pratt & Whitney powered 200 ERs. We can see a lot of stuff has been done on the freighter model as well. Then, of course, the 300 ER has gotten quite a bit of updates as well. And one of the things that I like in particular is actually the comm system, which has seen some updates as well. So not only have they improved the integration with Say Intentions, but they have also done quite a bit of work on the comm system with the Hoppy network as well, giving you a little bit more realistic timing for the messages to arrive, to be sent, and all this kind of stuff. Always remember, your CPDLC system and your data system is a very slow one. From the time where you order some weather, especially if you order it for several airports at once, it can take a minute or two until that stuff arrives, and that is just realistic. Now, apart from that, a lot of small things have been done. For example, down here, flight recorder switch has been electronically latched. What does that mean? Now, when you go into the flight deck and you turn on the voice recorder switch up here, then it should automatically go back to the auto position during the first engine start at a certain N2 percentage. So that's something that's been added to the aircraft as well now. In the real one, you can't just move it back to auto that easily because it turns off the voice recorder, but you actually need quite a bit of force to move it back because it is electronically latched. So a lot of small stuff like that has been added to the aircraft, and in general a lot of lovely, nice quality of life updates. In my opinion, the first officer really being the most important one among them. Now, for those of you on Marketplace, it might take a little bit longer for the update to arrive, for the simple reason that, well, sometimes the server is doing strange things, and apparently there was something wrong with the naming convention of the product, which they only noticed after a lot of the updates had already been uploaded, therefore rejected them. You know that the intake sequence does take a couple weeks every time, so every time something gets rejected, they gotta fix it, they gotta re-upload it, then it takes a couple weeks until Asobo have looked over it, and that's just a rather annoying thing when you want to update something quickly, but that's what we have to live with. That is the design choice made by Asobo. So if you want updates straight away, it's always best to buy directly from the developer. Now, the 300ER is going to make its way into the intake process very soon. There is currently no ETA on how long it's going to take until the 777 updates will appear for marketplace users, both on 2020 as well as for the releases of the 777 to appear in the 2024 marketplace at all. But of course we got to see it from the positive side here. At least PMDG are really trying to do it right and are really taking the time to get those aircraft into marketplace, contrary to some other developers who took a couple of easy routes by just using external apps, which led to them being able to do things quite a bit more quickly, but made the aircraft inoperative for marketplace overall. So yes, it does take a little while, but personally I'd rather see them do it right and get their aircraft available for the broadest audience than to do things quickly and just have them available to a small percentage, namely those who do not rely on marketplace. Now with that out of the way, the 777-200LR should go into beta testing this weekend, and PMDG does anticipate to have the 200LR out by the end of the month, which is really good news, as it is going to complete the PMDG 777 fleet for Microsoft Flight Simulator and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now at this time there is no new information available on the 737 and 747 product lines, as PMDG is focused on the 777 releases this week, and more news on those products will be made available as it becomes relevant. Now, a quick recap for those of you who don't follow PMDG's updates too closely, because they might just be a little bit too much of a wall of text in the day of the attention span of modern media. PMDG are going to provide a remodeled and re-recorded sound for the 737 for the FS2024 update. That does take a little bit of time and development effort, but then again, there was so much feedback that you guys would like a higher quality cabin, that you guys would like higher quality sounds, so that PMDG is doing that. It is going to take a little while and will likely come at a small upgrade fee into the new simulator, but then again, they do hear your critique and they are working on it, which is something that I do really appreciate them doing. Now, that's pretty much all there is for it. Now go into the Operations Center, download your 777 updates, and let me know how you like the new update. Personally, I really enjoy the new First Officer simulation, just because you don't sit alone in those flight decks. You do sit there with two people, and having the other person in the flight deck is just something that I do really appreciate. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's all I've got for today. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your like, comment and subscribe, and then I'm looking forward to see you all on the next one, where we are definitely going to take that 777 flying. And for those of you about to ask, yes, iFlight did also release their 737 MAX for the new simulator, and yes, we will absolutely fly that in a couple of days on this channel as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.